It's time to engage in cyber talk with the Chief of Cybersecurity.
Well, hello there. How's everyone doing today? It's Friday. Friday's a great time where we are going to be having a great discussion about some interesting things in the world of your career development. I also like to point out that I want to give a congrats out to all the Facebook groups that I've been posting a lot of information to for this past week. And if some of them are on this live stream, you're going to get some great information based on a lot of things that I have been talking about throughout the week. Because one of the things that interests people the most, especially if you are a brand new college graduate or if you're a transition person into cybersecurity, what career path should I pursue? Now, there are different types of career paths that you can pursue. You can kind of shoot from the hip and say, hey, I'm just going to get some certifications and I'm going to move out into the industry and I am going to become that cybersecurity guru. That is kind of risky. But then there are others that may say, okay, I need to have a plan. I want to be that cybersecurity guru. Well, despite which side that you may be on, this live stream is going to give you some great information on which career path that you should pursue. And I'll state it again, if you are fresh out of college, if you are a transition person, let's say, for instance, if you was working in HR department and you decided to go and to get you a cybersecurity degree, and now you have certifications, but you're thinking, which side should I pursue? Should I go and just be an admin person, networking person, or should I just use that skill set to operate within human resource? Those are the questions that are probably going to be flowing through many people's heads as I go through this live stream. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a story, especially about myself. When I first got out the military, I was in that same position, and I was trying to figure out, okay, where is it that I want to go within IT? Because in the military, I spent a lot of time training and teaching, and I said that I could be a career coach. But then I realized I had IT degrees, and I said, you know what? Let me just stay focused and probably transition over into IT. And I did some study. And one of the areas that interested me the most was networking. So I went through a couple of certification courses and I learned networking. But then what happened was that I was working on a project down in Jacksonville, Florida, and I noticed that the cybersecurity people seemed very intriguing, very, very interesting. They were kind of like the James Bond of the Navy, right? Uh, Always looking and lurking, uh, doing some work to make sure that the system stayed safe. It was a system I was operating on, which was called HBSS. And that's when I initially got the light bulb that, hey, you should transition and also work in cyber security. But the transition started off because I set first, like I had a college degree, but then I transitioned on and I got my CISSP, and it kind of gave me the leverage that I need to move through the chain and to gain work. And so, just like many of you all that are listen to my live stream here, some of y'all are in that same predicament. You may have just got out of college, you may have just got out of the military, and you may have been told by one of your managers that, hey, we want to train you to work in IT security now. And the light bulb came on, but hey, which area should you pursue? Because you don't want to just take a job and end up just being there as the admin person, because you want to be able to use your degree and you want to be able to at least take advantage of the competitive pay that's out there. So So if you're a seasoned person that's really interested in trying to see which one of these college degree programs that's going to work for you, or if you interested in knowing where should you pursue, well, bear with me for a second here because I am going to help you out. But the way that I'm going to help you out is that I laid out some great things to talk about. The first thing is I want to talk about the path. There are three main paths that you're going to follow: education, labor categories, and industry. These are the three that's going to dictate how you channel your career path. And I'm going to talk about all three here because when you think about education, there are certain people that have doctorates and PhDs and they end up being professors at a university, not so much of hands-on. And then you have different type of labor categories, and and these labor categories can be anywhere from analyst to somewhat an engineer. Let's just say, for instance, right, when you go on Indeed and you do a job search, you may get returns where it states, we want information assurance engineer, a vulnerability management analyst, a cybersecurity architect, a system security administrator. I would tell you that it's confusing because there are some terms like a cybersecurity engineer where it would tell you all the great work that you have to do, but it doesn't relate to being a cybersecurity engineer. And these label categories can be confusing. And if you're just coming out of college or if you're doing a transition, it makes it challenging for you. So what I'm going to do today is to use my cybersecurity mindset, and I'm going to make it very easy for you because I have to be in a cybersecurity mindset in order to help you out, because with that cybersecurity mindset, I am focusing on workforce modernization. And for you seasonal people that have read the book, and if you like the information based on the cybersecurity mindset, if you go to your favorite chapter, which is chapter 17, which is on digital modernization, and also read chapter 18, which is on workforce modernization, you're going to understand a lot of information that I'm talking about today, because as you channel your career, a a lot of decisions that you make are pretty much based on technologies too. And as technology changes, that's when your career changes, especially a lot as well. So let's deep dive into my discussion. The first one is I want to talk about the cybersecurity career architect. Here's kind of what you think about when you look at the cybersecurity career architect. Think about all the different type of areas that cybersecurity focuses on. When you build your career, this can be very important because if we look at the environments that you have, the application environment, maybe you want to be a software security person. Maybe you like programming. Looking at cloud, maybe you like AWS. Maybe you like Azure. Maybe you like to just do things in the cloud, and cloud really interests you a lot. So there's some security work for cloud as well too. Or maybe you just like data. You want to be a database security person. Maybe what happened was that you was working in a company and you was a database administrator. And then the company made a decision and say, okay, we need somebody to work on the security team, but that person needs to have background in Oracle or SQL. And that transition person now can move over to that security team and bring those skill sets in relationship to database programming. And when it comes to data too, maybe you're one of those person that's really good and savvy at doing data analysis. And these are the type of people that transition over to cybersecurity, because in the cybersecurity community, we always have to do metrics and keep track of those vulnerabilities, because Excel spreadsheets can kind of bore you out. And there are certain applications like Power BI that is used today to do all your data analysis, but you need somebody in the background that understands security analytics. If you understand how security analytics work, then you can aid cybersecurity in doing the data analysis. Identity management is really a great area as well too, because that's part of the cybersecurity architect. When you think of identity management, think about trying to gain access to a system. Think about things like tokens. Think about password management. Think about privileged access management, which is PAM. Okay, you know, there's an application tool called CyberArk, which is a PAM-based tool. Okay, and it's for privilege and it's for privileged access management. So if you really focus on some of those areas, then maybe you can transition over easy. But I got another good one for you too: networking. Here's why networking is so important in the cybersecurity career architect. Because imagine if you go and study Cisco firewalls, right? And if you get a certification because you're a networking person, well, that falls into cybersecurity as well too. Because with networking, it actually brings in the idea of knowing about subnets, knowing about firewalls, routers, switches, and some intrusion detection system in your and also SIMs and other type of tools as well too. So if you think about the fact is that now you are entering the IT market, but you've been given a chance to transition over into cybersecurity, but you have a networking background. Maybe in college you took extensive courses in networking. Maybe you got your certification prior to leaving college. But now what happens is that you can take that information and you can transition that over into network engineering and firewalls and so forth. Um, I will say that networking is one of those areas that can aid you a lot, because you can take networking as far as you want to. You can take networking in the cloud. You can take networking in cybersecurity. Or if you just want to stay in networking only, then you can stay in that area, because there are different vendors like Cisco, Brocade, Fortinet, and some of the other type of infrastructure, type of equipment, and vendors that you can learn about. But there are certifications that go along with all of those as well too. So speaking of certification, let's just move into education and certifications. All right, I got some key notes for you here. Education certification is just a base knowledge that you get. Okay, they're going to give you that base knowledge so that you can get a really strong look. Think about that the certifications that you obtain, they should align to certain labor categories. Let's just say, for instance, if you want to be a penetration tester and you like hacking, well, there's some SAN certification that you can have, and also some penetration certs that you can get as well too. Because what you want to do is to go and look at the career path that interests you the most and look at the certifications that you need to match it with. One of the key schemes too is that if you can find a certification that can match across all domains. Now, when I speak of the domains, I am speaking about different labor categories, and also too speaking about the different type of architects that I spoke about, like cloud, application, and your identity management. The CISSP is all the way across the board. If you're bold enough to try it early when you get out of college, then do it. If you get to CISSP, it'll give you a look. The worth of the CISSP is that the effort and the time that it takes to get to certification. When I first took the certification about 10 years ago, I spent 6 hours in a classroom, and there was 250 questions. And trust me, I took all 6 hours. So, so I would tell you that the CISSP is worth worth the wait. Something else I want to state is do not just take a cert because it sounds cool and fancy. If you're going to take a cert, then you want to be able to use it because that's your career path. Because that cert should help you channel through your career. If you have a 5-year plan, think about the certs that's going to help you out for your 5-year plan. If you decide to maybe want to be a professor at a university, and let's say that you just like teaching, well, you can take certification because you may be teaching some of those same courses in college. Because I've always thought that college could be very successful if that students could have a capstone course such as the CISSP, or if it's a course such as the Security Plus in their bachelor's program. I've always thought that students could take those type of courses and actually get their certification prior to exiting out of college. And one of the other things that can help you out through college too is the cybersecurity mindset, because the cybersecurity mindset really focuses on building that cyber focused attitude, and it lets you think proactively about cybersecurity. So if you are trying to get a certification, add in the cybersecurity mindset as well too, because the cybersecurity mindset is going to build a picture for you. The Security Plus, I know a lot of people that have taken it, and it's good for entry level type of search that you can get. I know that 𝐥𝐤𝐤 now, which stands for ISC squared, has the SSCP, which is the next level up, and then the third level is your CISSP. If you are working for the government and if you fall under DoD 8570, I think that you're kind of structured to have certain certification based on your job duties. If you're in information assurance level 3, then well, the CISSP or the CAS certification is the certification that you need to take. And you know that a level 2 certification like the Security Plus will go work as well too. And one of the other things too is that I always like to state is that you need to mix certification. Mix them up. If you work in a SOC environment, this is at most important, because in a SOC, you are working with SIMs, you are working with different vulnerability management tools. Let's say, for instance, if you're working with Tenable Nessus, if you can get a certification on that, most of the time, if you're in the entry level work, you're going to find yourself in the SOC. You're going to find yourself working on certifications. Some of the SAN certification, maybe the Certified Ethical Hacker certification. And, you got to mix it up a little bit too. And you have to get some system admin certs like from Microsoft as well too. So I know when I started out, I went my Security Plus, I did Networking Plus, I did ITIL, I did Certified Ethical Hacker, and I did I think it's one of the Microsoft certs. Okay, so I was trying to leverage all the way across the board. But now, let's say if I was really doing those certs, I would have to add cloud onto that as well too, because the environment has changed a lot now where we have cloud. All right. If you work for the government, you are mostly in a risk management area. So going out and get the CAP certification works, the CISSP works, and any of those certs that are outlined in that DoD 8570 pipeline. So let's go and talk about the label categories, because this is going to be very important. A cybersecurity analyst is what most of the entry-level people are going to fall on. You're an analyst. You go and analyze information. You go look at logs. You go work with incident response teams. You're going to find a lot of times that as an analyst, it gives you the ground-based work into penetration testing, hacking, some of the type of engineering work that you could face later on. And see, now that's what an analyst does, is analyze information. Some of the other ones is you have a cybersecurity administrator. That is like doing all the security admin work for Active Directory or probably Linux. And as a security admin person, like you're doing all the administrative work that actually needs to get done for cybersecurity. Incident response is that a lot of SOC people work in the incident response area because of the level of attacks that you have and trying to mitigate those attacks. You're going to spend a lot of time learning the incident response, because as an entry-level person, you're going to be focused on incident response. You're going to be focused on SIEMs and the different tools. Some of the SIEMs that you use out there, like 𝐷SITE, or if you're working with Splunk, or if you're working with Tenable Nexus, you're going to be involved with tools, because see, you have to know tools because you're going to work in a SOC environment. All right. Some of the other things is that some of the terms like a cybersecurity specialist, that means you specialize in something like auditing, risk management, and testing. These are some of the label categories that you see. When you hear the term engineer and architect, those are mainly for senior level people, but then certain organization may just have room for junior level people as well. But just keep in mind that these are the label categories. So when you look at the education, when you look at the label categories, and you look at the certifications, you now have all three checks. But there's one more level left, which is the industry. Okay, do you want to work for the federal government? There's a certain type of skill set you need to have, and other things that you need to do with your education and certification as well. If you want to go corporate, maybe you want to work for IBM, maybe you want to work for Home Depot, maybe it's for Secure Works of Optiv, one of the corporate organizations out there, because if you work for the corporate organization, then it's a different type of skill set or type of certs that you need to have, and also for education. Health, if you want to work in the healthcare industry, let's say, for instance, when you think of healthcare, you think of things like hospitals, working for the Veterans Administration, HIPAA. Maybe you interested in that because there's a lot of privacy there because patient health records. So if you decide to channel that route, then something like the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐸, which is the CISSP based on the healthcare system. All right. Financial industry. If you want to go to the financial industry and you feel like you want to go to the stock market up there in New York and help out, I was hearing that one of the features, especially with that market, is that they have to have a lot of redundancy. Okay, maybe you're good at backup and recovery, databases. If you think about all the data that scrolls through the stock market, all right, you would probably have to have some background in like database system. Think about the networking systems at the stock market. Think about now there's cloud out there, and some of the other things that could happen at the stock market. Even so, for application security and programming and artificial intelligence as well too, because now a lot of the artificial intelligence platforms are used to accelerate data analysis and try to figure out things that humans would normally try to figure out. All right. So despite everything I've said, you're going to have to develop your own individual goals. Here's my plan for you and how you can develop your own individual goal. Do you like technologies? Think about that. Splunk. Okay. Also, think about the three factors that cross each other: education, certification, right? And your professional experience. All right. So you got to put all three of those together. Money matters. This is why a lot of people want to transition into cybersecurity, because it's competitive pay, because of the job market offers a lot of security. If you think about COVID-19 and what happened, there was a lot of remote workers that went home and worked, and they were not IT-based people. But the IT-based people were great because, see, they kept their jobs. And now what's happened is that there's a trend where many people want to transition into IT and cyber because it sounds intriguing, but at the same time, people want to be able to sustain employment. And, this is what cybersecurity offers. Do not just look at it for just a job, okay? It's just not a job, all right? So I know a lot of people that do not want to be in a challenging market, and they have chosen to go and work for the government because some of the requirements may not be as stiff as some of the corporate companies out there. Well, that's fine as well too, but you have to choose the channel that's going to fit you. Where is it that you want to go? When you're an entry-level person, sometimes you don't know. So what you have to do is to do your homework and make sure you get certifications and make sure you have education. Future, let's say, for instance, if you just want to be a manager in the future, then you have to work on those degrees that you need to have. Work on the CISSP, work on the CISM, work on the CISA. All right. Management is pretty much where you kind of want to go. And if you want to go into management, you have to read the cybersecurity mindset because it's going to give you that cyber focused attitude. It's going to explain to you how to go put the puzzle together because cybersecurity itself can be very complex. So when I wrote the cybersecurity mindset, I put it in a common sense language so that readers could understand and articulate cybersecurity. But you do not have to work in cybersecurity. You can come from different genre of professional background. Maybe you're in the nurse field and you're kind of intriguing about cybersecurity, and you can get the cybersecurity mindset and read it because maybe you are a home parent. And it's very important because now with digital parenting being an issue, this can help out with digital parenting as well too. Some of the other things that you may have to do a trial and error. I'm going to be honest about that. There's no set way to say which entry-level job you need to take. You just need to take the information that I provided today and use that information wisely. Go out there, research, learn. If you're on LinkedIn or if you're on Facebook, send me questions. I'll be more than glad to answer your questions. If you are on YouTube, well, go out there and watch some of my previous videos on education and also too for cyber security as well, because a lot of the live streams and the podcasts that I post pretty much are relatable to a lot of things that go on in the cybersecurity industry. If you go through those podcasts, it's going to give you an idea of some of the tasks and some of the things that cybersecurity people are responsible for. All right. So I just like to say that stay safe, stay smart, continue to educate yourself, continue to be engaged with cybersecurity. If you have read the cybersecurity mindset, I think you know what I'm talking about. And if you have not read it, go out there and get yourself a copy of it and start to read it because it's framed cybersecurity for you. And hopefully one day the cybersecurity mindset can serve as a read for college students. It can be a capstone course. So until next time, stay safe and make sure you keep your cybersecurity mindset active.
You've been listening to the Chief of Cybersecurity Livestream. Please join the YouTube channel and purchase your copy of the Cybersecurity Mindset.